Well, hi everybody. Thanks for coming along tonight. Really appreciate everybody taking a little bit more time out of their busy scouting week to join in. We'll go a little bit slow to start just because we know that there's still a few more people slated to join. As you might have seen, we have asked to try and record this. If there's any issues with the recording, then we will make the slide deck available offline, and there's of course always opportunities to do questions in future. So John and I would like to get straight into it. So as I say, welcome along, scouts and scout leaders from all over the country. This is designed as a masterclass to get you kicked off on your Jamboree or to fill in any gaps where you might be struggling, and to show you what resources are currently available to you. So we're going to start off with just a little bit of a heads up around where we're going with Jamboree. The management team, or Jamboree leadership team, have been working very hard for the last 6 months on this. So we'll meet the ones that are in attendance tonight who were able to make themselves available. Thank you so much to those that are available. We're also going to look at what resources we have available currently to promote Jamboree, and give you a little bit of a secret heads up as to some of the ones that will be coming over Christmas for you to use in the new year. Now, we had a lot of responses to our mail request or request for mail-in questions, and we've condensed these down into the major subject areas and have tried to provide the best fit answers for you at this point in time. I mean, it's a bit of a movable feast, and we're trying to get as many things answered as we can, and we'll go through those in the Q&A session. As there's a lot of people in the call, where possible, please keep yourselves on mute. You can interrupt if you really feel like you need to, but we would prefer that you pop up in the chat, and we have a few hosts who are helping us field the chat questions. And please, if we don't get to your questions or we miss something, feel free to email us back. There's several email addresses you'll see coming past, and I'm sure the zone teams would also be happy to get back to you, and we'll endeavour to answer further questions offline. As I say, you can pop your heads up if you want to, or be on mute. And on that, I'm just going to introduce John Saunders. John.
Kia ora and welcome to our first Jamboree Masterclass. And I'm looking forward to working with you all as we start our journey towards the Jamboree. So back to you, Dominic, our little double act.
Excellent. So just to start off, some of you have seen the theme and the logo that's been kindly or been developed for us by the youth leadership team. And this is quite an exciting development for us. We have a team of scouts picked from the zones from all over the country, and they get together on Zooms regularly. And one of the tasks that they worked on was putting together the concept and the design, which we're really excited about. Just looking at moving forwards into the future, certainly past, looking back on what's happened with COVID, etc. So just looking at our vision statement over on the right, young people explore the past and present with their families and friends, leading to the future. The weave of the koru and of the fern symbolize that we, with the help of our families, are on the journey. And we'll be developing a lot more with the logo, but we're really proud of that, and have had lots of positive feedback. And you'll start seeing this being incorporated into the badges and the theme of Jamboree that gets developed over the next year, which is pretty exciting for us. So what I'd like to do here is pass to John to introduce you to the team members that we have on the call. I've got a list here, John, but if you want to just introduce the JLT.
Well, let's start off with Lawrence. who I believe is somewhere in the background. If Lawrence is not coming, perhaps Guy.
Oh, there we go.
Lawrence is our Jamboree director. And then there's Guy.
Kia ora.
Kerry.
Good evening, people.
Nathan.
Evening, all.
And Marie.
Hiya.
And let's not forget our financial guru, young Terry. He's disappeared. But I'd like to stress to you all that we are all volunteers here at the Jamboree. We're here to provide governance and strategic direction for the Jamboree. Each Jamboree directorate will be made up of many volunteers from New Zealand and overseas. Our focus as the JL team is on supporting our young people and to help them to enjoy and to learn from the Jamboree. Inquiries, perhaps to the director at jamboree.scouts.nz or inquiries at jamboree.scouts.nz. Dominic.
Great, and I'd like to just add to that list Trudy, who I think is also on the call. You'd like to say hi?
Hi, welcome.
Awesome. Thank you, Trudy. Thanks, John. Oh, we've done that slide. Excellent. We're ahead. Okay. So the first question out to the groups was really, where are you at? So here's a little bit of a sort of checkpoint. We're hoping at this point in time that you have introduced Jamboree to your group, your troop, and identified the eligible scouts and older cubs who are likely candidates for going to Jamboree. Maybe worked on a pre-registration inside your own group, but you should have also pre-registered your group with us. There's been a couple of requests go out, and this is so that we can start developing the contact with the groups, but also an idea of the scale in which the Jamboree has to meet with the program and the activities. So if you think you haven't pre-registered, I mean, most group leaders have been asked and have identified the troop leaders back to us. But if you think you've been missed out there, then you can drop an email through. Thank you. Now, as a guide for planning your troop's mission up to Jamboree, we have the Time to Plan manual, which has been released, and we'll show you a little bit of a heads up on that if you haven't seen it. And we hope you've got a team of people working on a draft budget, fundraising plan, and the steps you're going to be needing to get to Jamboree. So we're going to just break these down a little bit further for you and explore these. Guy, did you have a step in?
No.
Cool. I saw an A there. All right. So first up, how can we promote the Jamboree? So obviously you can go and use memorabilia from the previous Jamborees, such as your badges or scarves from previous Jamborees, and show those with a show and tell to the youth. And you can invite previous scouts who've been to Jamboree to come and talk about it. Now, for us centrally, what we're trying to do is provide you with some promotional videos. And the main one, which we've encouraged everybody to use up to this point, is the We Did This Together video. So let's just have a quick look across on YouTube. On YouTube, we have the Jamboree or New Zealand Scout Jamboree channel. And we encourage you to use these as the promotional videos to your youth if you haven't already done this. Now, I won't play it this time, but I have pasted a link to the We Did This Together video, which is a really cool clip which we put together at the tail end of last Jamboree, presented by youth and showing the road from arriving at Jamboree, setting up the camp, and then participating in all the exciting activities. Of course, we do need to include the disclaimer that bird watching / jet boating may or may not be part of the program. There are parts of the program that you won't find out about until you arrive. Okay, so we can't promise everything that's in the video clip, but it is a great way to promote this, particularly seeing young people front and center talking about the great experiences that they had. So after this masterclass, we will be emailing out links to all of the things that we show in the masterclass, and you can find these also repeated on the Jamboree page and on the forum. Quick show of hands, who has used the We Did This Together video before and have thought that that was useful to you? There's a little wave your hand symbol, and you can put that up if you thought that that was useful. Okay. Oh, a couple of people are still awake. Excellent. Definitely we can share the PowerPoint after this meeting. So one of our other main communication mechanisms, which was very successful at last Jamboree, and we intend to leverage it at this coming Jamboree, of course, is Facebook. On the main Jamboree page, search is not working very well, we have New Zealand Scout Jamboree. I should have looked this up beforehand. Sorry, that link's not working. On the main New Zealand Scout Jamboree page, you will find all the photos from last Jamboree stuck away in albums, and you can freely use these to show off and get ideas within your troops. So for example, on this page, you can see a whole lot of the troop site designs from last Jamboree, which is really cool. Many of you have also joined up to the Jamboree forum page, which has been a very powerful way for us to go and send out updates. And a lot of you have already cottoned on to the Jamboree challenges that we have placed out for your groups to participate in. The theme here is to start seeing what the troops around the country are doing, right? And to maybe inject your program with a couple of activities which give you the opportunity to talk about Jamboree and put it into your program. So let's quickly look at those. We've got a cooking challenge which has been launched. We have a take a photo of your team doing an adventure skill, going and visiting an iconic local location, and we have some great photos from that. And so forth. We have one more challenge due this term, and you can enter it this term, and we will probably also accept entries for this term's challenges through next term so that you don't miss out. So when you enter the programming for next term, you will be able to include the challenges with your youth discussions about planning for the term. So another quick show of hands, who's already submitted entries back for this? Excellent. Great. So hopefully those are useful, and most of the activities and challenges we'll put in front of you will be in the vein of preparing for Jamboree. So if you have ideas, please send a note through, and we can add them to the list of potential challenges. We expect there to be about 5 to 6 challenges each term, all right, and the next ones will be launched early in term 1, and then there'll be a set in term 3 and term 4. All right. And we're expecting to have some Road to Jamboree badges, which we will select from some winning entries, and there'll be more than one winning entry a term, and we'll send them out to your troops. Awesome. Now, the other main source that we have of information for you is the Jamboree web page. The website's been launched recently. It's not going to be containing a huge amount of information, except for the resources page. Now, this is the go-to guide for all released documents. This is where you will get the latest definitively released document. So we can see, for example, the time to plan document, which we recommend that you grab a copy of and you look at. It has got a lot of tips from very many years of planning jamborees about how to get your troop ready and prepared. We don't yet have all the answers about the actual structure and some of the costs, but there's some really good guides in here which should hold you in good stead. You can also see previous newsletters, statements about eligibility, transition policies, and links to previous videos. So this is where you'll find a copy of the recording and this presentation for you to get access to, and also previous Jamboree notes that have been released. So most of the communications will come through the forum which you've signed up for. We also have, of course, the email list, and we will try to duplicate postings on between the forum and the mailing list, with newsletters regularly coming out. We hope to have some posters coming in your group packs at Christmas, so that you can put those on the wall and promote Jamboree through those. And we hope to have a summary Road to Jamboree with milestones as well in that poster pack at Christmas. Posters, of course, will also be able to be downloaded from the web page, from the Facebook, so that you can print those yourself. Great. So who should I be approaching about coming to Jamboree? I'm going to ask John to just talk about this, please.
Thanks, Mike. Today's 10-year-olds who will be turning 11 next year and wishing to attend the Jamboree need to be invested before the start of the Jamboree. They need to have completed the Bronze Scout Award and ideally should have camped at least 5 nights in a Scout section, along with their parents' or guardians' approval to attend the Jamboree. We're urging you to support our 10-year-olds today so that we don't dampen down their enthusiasm to attend the Jamboree next year. If in doubt, perhaps talk to your group leader or your cub leader or your zone leader. Dominic.
Yeah, thanks, John. So this is obviously it's very easy to approach our scouts and to promote it to them, and is a great opportunity to look at which cubs might be coming up and bringing them up early in the new year. Potentially a fifth or a quarter of the scouts going to Jamboree might have been in cubs this term and be going up. It's also the requirements here are also making sure that they're going to have the resilience and be able to cope with a full-on Jamboree camp and traveling with the rest of their troops. So we all need to be comfortable that they're going to handle that well. These are, of course, guidelines only. Your troop leader, your scout leaders, and your group leaders get to make the final say as to whether somebody is suitable in your troop and how well they're going to approach Jamboree. We enable you to make that call yourself, but experience has shown that following the eligibility guidelines and having some basic camp skills, scout skills, and nights camping means that they feel comfortable. There's still going to be cases where kids get a bit of homesickness, and we're all able to support them through that. This is also to develop the leaders, so that leaders and volunteer parents who are joining us on troop lines have the relationships with the kids and the skills to be valuable members on site. So thank you. Now, at the other end of the spectrum, we have a group of Scouts who may be leaving Scouts very soon, promoting up to venturers who haven't had the opportunity to attend a Jamboree. And the challenge was put before the Jamboree leadership team as to how can we provide a Jamboree experience so nobody misses out. So John, I'd like you to pass this back to you, and maybe Trudy would like to talk to this as well.
Well, perhaps better qualified to talk about this would be Trudy. Over to you, Trudy.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So we are faced with not disadvantaging any 15-year-olds who wish to turn to Jamboree. And so we have created Jamboree Active for those who are 14 at the moment, but will be 15 time Jamboree. There's quite strict guidelines around who can join Jamboree Active and who can join JST, which is the Jamboree support team. And how they're going to be managed is going to be slightly different. The Jamboree Active teams will be actively supported in a more structured role by a more experienced venture leader. And the Jamboree support team would have more of a traditional support team role. So for those that are concerned that they will be coming in and allowed to do whatever they like, that's not true. They will be structured, they will be monitored, and they will be cared for in a welfare situation should they need it. We urge you to come and talk to us if you have got any concerns at all. And we would like you to encourage young people to at least look at the option if they're not sure what they would like to do. Again, inquiries at jamboree.scouts.nz will come through to us, and we can try and mentor or monitor the situation and help you with your young people. We also have the JST, which is the Jamboree support team, which is going to be quite interesting, and we've got a lot of exciting opportunities for them as well. Those opportunities are still developing at the moment, so we won't be able to give you full details too early next year, but we are quite excited about the way that we've structured it. Okay, so Jamboree Active will be young people that are attending Jamboree as participants. They will be going along and taking part in the program activities, and they will be looking at doing the day-to-day program. However, they will be coming back to the Jamboree support team area. Yeah, this is Jamboree, sorry, Venture Active, sorry. Venture Active will be coming back to the Jamboree support team area in the evenings instead of going back to the troop areas. And they will be monitored and encouraged to take part in the Jamboree support team activities in the evening as venturers. And those Jamboree support team will be supporting the Jamboree as they have done previous Jamborees. Hopefully that made a bit of sense, sorry.
No, look, that was wonderful, Trudy. Thank you so much. So we're really excited that we have an option for the Scouts that may be moving up to venturers. And the challenge for the troop leaders out there and leaders in the zone is to make sure that these kids are supported, that these youth are supported through their journey up into venturers, and that they understand that there's an option there. And maybe there needs to be some financial support as well, or including them in your fundraising. All right, so thank you so much, Trudy, on that. and we look forward to seeing a whole lot more about that particular aspect of Jamboree as it gets developed further. So we mentioned the time to plan manual and the website, so I probably don't need to repeat that. And we will have a poster for the time to plan roadmap coming out indicating milestones, and that can just be used as a talking point regularly with parents and the youth, and ticking off as you progress through to Jamboree. I note there's a bunch of questions coming through about Venture Active, and we'll take a copy of those and address those offline if possible. So finally, to get your troop ready for Jamboree, assemble a good team of parents and leaders, allocate the tasks that you need done, including budgeting, fundraising, grants, quotes, creating troop scarves, badges, uniform, etc., and involve the youth wherever possible. Make this their Jamboree. Include the Jamboree milestones in your 2023 term plan for both the youth and adults, including your practice camps, all right, and camps for activities for developing your scarves and badges, and getting to Jamboree. All right, it's a real community building activity, and it's a great focus for the group. We'll be providing these program ideas for you to also provide feedback. And because the Facebook forum is currently a private group, we are going to ask those who win if we can post their pictures onto the public Facebook page just to build up some international interest as well. Talking of internationals, it's quite exciting. We're seeing a lot of interest from Australia and Noumea. John, of course, looks after the internationals as well and can tell us lots more about that. But we're really pleased to say that Australia has already opened their registrations and has a huge amount of interest, all right? And they're looking to come over and have a great holiday and join us for Jamboree at the end of 2023. So we're looking forward to seeing them here. So how can we provide support? Okay, we've had great encouraging feedback on your current progress, but some groups have said that they need more help. Now, we're aware that there's a lot of new leaders, and we're aware that there's been a 4-year break, and you won't have the youth going back with experience of Jamboree. So, of course, you can come to the Facebook forum. All of the documents that we release on the Jamboree website can be used to support you as well. But please look to your zone teams and the expertise you have in the troops around your areas. But wherever possible, you can also come out to the Jamboree leadership team through inquiries at Jamboree Scouts NZ, and that will refer you through to Marie, and she will direct your inquiries to those people that are providing the troop support and program support. So that's pretty cool. Cool. So now we get to the part of the night where we answer some of your questions which were submitted. We had over 150 questions across all sorts of areas, and we've tried to distill these down, obviously due to the time, but also a lot of the questions had real common themes. So I'll introduce each question, and you can see what's there on the slide, and we'll ask the Jamboree leadership team where possible to jump in and add some value. If you have any further questions that are arising from this, as we say, please paste it into the chat. Some of these we won't be able to answer yet. It's still a work in progress, but we are very acutely aware that people need answers as quickly as they can so that you can get your planning moved along. So, Jamboree fee. Now, this was, of course, the biggest question out there, and I'm going to ask John and Lawrence possibly to have a quick chat about this for us.
Well, as the slide says, the board are now working through the Jamboree leadership team proposal, but perhaps to better qualify that, Lawrence or Terry, if you're available. Continue.
There we go. Thanks.
Sorry. Yes, we are still aiming, as we've said earlier, to have something before Christmas so that we can put it out. But at the moment, it is with the board. Sorry, I can't give you any other information other than that.
Cool. Well, look, thank you, Lawrence. We understand that there's a lot of work behind the scenes. And of course, with the uncertainties around COVID and inflation, etc., and the restructure. So we're really looking forward to being able to provide all the troops with some more definitive answers. For now, it's still just follow your nose through the guidelines in the time to plan document. And we really hope that we'll have some stuff before Christmas for you. Thank you, Lawrence. Troop sizes. So the standard troop size will be as of previous years, made up of 6 patrols with 6 scouts in each, supported by 1 adult leader and a troop leader. Now there is an optional deputy troop leader, and that takes you from the optional 7 or 8 leaders on site. And of course, as always, if you have special needs or additional support required, then additional adult leaders can be taken along. Troops with less than 6 patrols can register, and you can self-assemble groups up to 6 patrols. You can reach out through the forums to find other people, groups to partner up with, and the Jamboree team is available to also assemble that stuff. Further into the new year, you'll start getting direct communications with Nathan. And it's a good opportunity for Nathan to drop in and say hello again. And is there anything you'd like to add there, Nathan? Nathan will be your main troop leader contact.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. I'm Nathan, in charge of camp support, or look after camp support, which encompasses the youth camp and staff camps and other areas. Yeah, not much to say at this stage. We'll be looking for troop reaching out soon, sometime for the actual Jamboree troop names and things, and also the actual Jamboree troop leader. I know everyone so far that has pre-registered or an interest form that everyone signed up to for their groups. That's not necessarily your Jamboree troop, but it's your home group, just so it gives us numbers to work with at this stage. But hopefully in the background everyone's organising themselves. I'll be available to assist anyone that may need pairing up with people. We have plenty of internationals too that will be looking for a home, so myself and John will also be looking for those people. Yeah, that's about all at this stage, I think.
Awesome, thanks there, Nathan. All right, it's good to put a name to the face, and Nathan will be the go-to guy for a lot of the troop contact. Right. So, moving on. John, would you like to speak about this one briefly?
Registrations will be opening up on February, March next year, although Australia have already opened their registration up. That's simply because of logistics in Australia. But New Zealand will be opening up registrations from February and March, and this will include the internationals as well.
Great, and we hope to have, as a heads up, our next roadshow or masterclass we expect will fit in with that, and we hope will be a guide through the registration system to assist leaders in supporting parents with the registrations. Lots of information has to be provided there, and we're really looking forward to it. As Nathan said, to prepare the registration system, we'll be asking for the troop names where you have them available, and the troop contacts or troop leaders. So expect some emails out between now and February around that. Now, preempting us.
Dominic, could I just say a couple of things about
Please, Terry,
registration?
thanks.
quickly. We're going to a two-step authentication process for registrations where anybody has access to something other than their own record. So that will affect all the troop leaders, most of the staff, things like that. So keep that in mind. There will be a two-step authentication process to get into the system. There will be no exceptions. The reason for that is that the database sits on a server in Australia. Australia, as you've seen in the news, they've had some pretty high-profile hacks into their health systems and their insurance systems over there. So this is just a protection that the owner of OLEMS is putting around it. And just one other thing, I've got the microphone and going back to the fees. I'll just make it clear that those who are going to participate in Venture are active will pay the same fee as the Scouts. So they won't be paying the staff fee that the other Venturers will. Okay.
Great. Thanks so much, Terry. And it's really great having Terry on the team. He's got a few years of experience with previous Jamborees. So lots of value to add there. Thanks, Terry. Now, I see in the chat window that we started to get some questions about the troop sites. We aren't quite really at the stage to start doing the maps, but for those who went to Mystery Creek last time, we are working on a similar structure for the troop site and the troop sizes. So you can see we want to work within that 700 square meters, but it will be term 2, term 3 before those site features will start getting finalized. But you can design within that, knowing in the time to plan manual that you can use the information there, and we're not likely to give you any surprises. Gateways, there's actually still the management team is still looking into gateways and how they will be structured around the themes. So watch this space. I'm quite keen on them because I think the flashing lights from last year were, or last Jamboree, were a big selling point. And you can see from the slide deck there, I think that was the famous Stargate one. So awesome stuff. And we see some notes there about the marquees and connecting to the water. So pretty much the same specifications at this stage as last Jamboree from time to plan, but these particular details won't be finalized until term 2, term 3, I'm sorry. And of course, moving on to your equipment, please at this stage use your existing Jamboree equipment. We're not expecting you to go out and spend a whole lot of money on getting something that you don't already have. And we're expecting that most of the essential items you used last time will have a place at this Jamboree as well. Cool. All right, catering. John, have we got somebody to pass to talk to about catering?
Well, I don't think Chris or perhaps Kerry could help here. If not, catering for the Jamboree troops will be the same as the last Jamboree. And we're still working through the process of centralised supply to service each of those troops. But the only centralised catering will be for the Jamboree staff and members of the Jamboree support team, which includes the Venturous and Venture Active.
Yeah, that's right, John. Sorry about that. I was on mute. Yeah, it's similar to the last time at the moment, guys. Okay, we'll keep you updated about that in the new year. Okay, we're looking at a few different concepts to help us along the way, but at the moment, it's the same as last time.
Great, thanks, Kerry. We've also had a lot of requests for how we will better cater for special diets. and there's some work going on behind the scenes there. But as you understand, it's going to be very varied. So wherever you have special diet requests or you think that there's going to be some challenges, please just pen an email off to the team and we'll add it to the list of, we'll see what we can do, but no promises. Thank you so much. Guy, we're just about up to you, mate. Are you ready? So the highlight of Jamboree, of course, is the program, all right? All those adventures that we're going to take a whole lot of scouts to Jamboree to be engaged with. The selling point, all right? Getting wet, getting muddy, getting dirty, all right? So Guy, here you go.
Wow. There is one advantage for this Jamboree we didn't have the last time. This time we have a youth program that's actually now been in place for the better part of 2 years, if not almost 3. The adventures are designed for scouts and, as Trudy's pointed out, for the young adventurers in Ventura Active. There's a couple of things we're going to do with this Jamboree that we didn't do last time. In some senses, we're going to call some of the things and the activities that our scouts and young adventurers get to do adventures. They're going to be challenged, and that's going to line up with the adventure skills that are in the youth program. We're also going to have some worlds. So our scouts and young adventurers are going to go to brand whole new worlds as part of those Better World programs. The real strong focus, not just on challenge, but on fun in small teams. And that working in small teams is definitely a part of the youth program. And the last bit of it is, while we are expecting our young people to take a lead, to have that youth leadership, we really need kairahi and other adults to help with that. Kairahi being with those small teams where that's appropriate, but also needing other adults. Now, we've approached a large number of the people who were part of the program team at the last Jamboree. It's fair to say a bunch of people have moved on and so on and so forth. So if I can just do a small advertisement using the 80 or so people who are on the call. If you have any interest at all in leading any of these adventures or worlds or being part of that team, please contact me or Lawrence or use the inquiries email. So that'll be part of the challenge and adventure for the adults, not just for our young people as well. And we have a question from Sean, apparently.
Question, Sean?
Yeah, g'day, how are we all? Guy, nice to see you again. It's been a couple of years since last Jamboree.
One way and another.
Hey, look, I'm part of Stoke Scout Group and was part of one of the bases at the last Jamboree under Guy. Thoroughly enjoyed being and showing the techniques to the kids with the digger and all. This next Jamboree, I hope to be the same, but I've got a whole family going at this time. So I'm going to have a young scout, a young female leader, my wife, participating with our troop. It looks like I'm ousted and I'm going to be part of a base again, which hey, look, thoroughly enjoyed it last time. But we've got a son that's in between scouts and venturers at the moment, and he's a little bit shy on it. Don't know where we sit there with the venturers for him or as a base guy.
Yeah, let's deal with that separately. Do you want us to just send me an email? guy.beatson@jamboree.scouts.nz and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, awesome. Cheers, Guy.
So.
Thanks, Guy. Look, and we're really encouraging of you to see what roles other parents and other leaders might be able to pick up around supporting the Jamboree. There's almost more people working off troop lines as there are working on troop lines, and there's a huge number of backroom jobs that need to happen, and they can be really satisfying as well. So please encourage all your leaders and parents to consider it. And then, of course, when you're fundraising and bringing your troop together, look at ways that you can support them within your groups. How can you subsidize or contribute to them being able to get to Jamboree as well? And let's make it a real family community.
So if I can just put that in context, Dom, we need about 250 people, 250 adults working on the program adventure side of this Jamboree. in terms of people who have put their hand up in terms of our requests to see whether or not people are prepared to do this. We've got 50. So somehow or other, in the next little while, we need to find 200 people. Just to put it in context.
So there might be some advertising coming out very soon now. Watch this space.
Yeah.
Excellent, Guy. Thank you so much. Right. So now just moving on to the last couple of bits, we've got funding. So how can I provide funding and reduce or help the bill to the parents, for the kids, for the scouts? How do we reduce the cost of getting people to Jamboree and make it more palatable? Some of our families are struggling. So some of the strategies that have been used by groups quite successfully in the past is set up an installment plan, deposit and periodic payments during the year, with a target of reducing that down to a minimum. A lot of troops manage to get to Jamboree without having to pay any more than the deposit, or maybe even less. Grants are also a great opportunity to take significant chunks out of the bill. All right, they are difficult and you need somebody to concentrate on them, and they may be based on what area you're in. But the groups that have taken advantage of those have been able to take out significant portions of the bill, possibly even greater than a quarter of the bill. Now, if a typical troop is looking at a budget in the order of $50,000 to $60,000, then getting rid of a large chunk of that is really important. Fundraising ideas, of course, everybody has their favorite fundraising ideas. So here's a little opportunity for you to jump into the text window, wake up, see if you're still awake, and just jot your favorite idea in there. And hopefully people won't step on each other's zones, but we'd love to hear some of your favorite ideas in the chat, and we'll take a copy of that and send that round. But your challenge is, how can you support staff and venturers from your troop and your troop fundraising so that they can support you on site and with bringing out best activities for the period of Jamboree? So we're well on track. We've got 7 minutes left for opening the floor to some questions. If you do have any questions, put your hand up or stick your question into the chat window. A quick heads up of what's coming up. Thank you to everybody for coming along. We're looking at the next masterclass to be on Sunday the 19th of February. You'll see it advertised in Mahi Tahi within the Facebook forum and through the email newsletter. We expect that this will be a heads up on the registration process, and we'll have details or further details of the Jamboree fees. We expect and have timetabled future masterclasses to be held monthly through to the end of November 2023, as it is required, and we expect that they will specialise. So there'll be hopefully a breakdown on the food and the warehousing or catering. We hope to have a breakdown on the troop sites, etc. So they might not be open to everybody, but we hope that this has been useful to you, and we ask for your feedback to be sent through to inquiries at Jamboree Scouts or NZ, or put onto the forum as you feel the need. We tried to strike a balance around answering what questions we had with the answers that we had available, and to try and provide useful planning information to you. Marie, I see you've got a question. Congratulations, you're first.
Hi, I've just seen a lot of the same things popping up in the chat. Obviously, some people are still a bit unsure about the Venturer Active side of things. So we might just want to go over that again, because it's obviously people are not quite understanding it. Basically, the Venturer Actives will be on the same site as the GST and the Venturers Helpers. and they will be fed as staff. They will not be fed on troop lines. So I know people was asking. And also, if you have 15-year-olds that are in Scouts, it's up to you to speak to that Scout in particular with their parent and the Scout leader to see whether they stay on Scouts and go as a 15-year-old on Scout lines, or they transition up to Venturers. It's totally up to you guys. Any other questions on that?
Yeah, no, thanks, Marie. And the document which describes this is currently on the forum and will be in the resources page, and it's called Jamboree Note 1, and it talks about the Venture Active. So that'll be posted up after this and available for you to peruse for more details. If you have any arising questions, then Trudy and that support team or the email that we have can provide more information there for you. Marie.
Yeah, just reiterating, basically, the transition policy actually states what I've just said. So look at the transition policy. Cool. It's all gone quiet.
That's awesome.
I mean, there is a bit of a plea in the chat, which I think we need to be mindful of, is the fact that for many of the folk on the call, or some of them at least, they weren't involved in the last Jamboree. So a bunch of the stuff is new. So to the extent that we've said anything, and maybe whoever is worried about that can just either come off mic or put some stuff on the chat, and we can answer those questions as well. Particularly if there's something that's gone by and we've assumed something that people know or not know. Andrew's got his hand up.
Yeah, hey guys. I've been involved with Jamboree since probably '95, and over the years we've always had leaders helping with the cooking. Is that going to be something that the kids are going to be expected to do this time? It's just, from previous experience, by day 5, the leaders are starting to get tired, the kids are starting to get tired, and that's when food hygiene starts to slip. And the last thing we really want is a bout of norovirus or gastro going through. So what's the expectation of the kids needing to be preparing and cooking food? Because that's obviously something we're going to need to work on with the kids over the next 12 months, if that's the case.
I don't think we're going to see a lot of changes there, Andrew. We haven't got our catering person on the call, but as you point out, there needs to be a certain level of supervision. But we want the youth to be fully involved in the preparation and cooking of the food and serving the food, all right, and enabling the troop there. So we hope that the leaders are able to take a relaxed hands-off role and be more of a mentor in that process. Guy, have you got some suggestions there too?
Surely do. Part of the youth program is about youth leadership and adults supporting. And in the Scout section, that's intended to be about a 50-50 partnership between young people and kairahi. And secondly, there's a provision in here for a leader with each small team, plus one other. That's intended to make sure that those young people are well supported and following that stuff through. The other thing to bear in mind, I think, is that this is a 7-day event, not a 10-day one. So there's actually less time, and hopefully there's more ability to follow that through in that kind of 50-50 partnership.
Thanks, Guy. Daryl, you had a question there.
Yes, just clarifying in terms of the program, so that each troop has got a patrol of 6 plus a leader. Are they doing, like the last Jamboree, are they doing all the activities in that patrol together? Is it the same? Is it happening the same way as last structure?
Not necessarily. We're working through a bunch of stuff with the youth Jamboree leadership team at the moment, And we're looking at some different ways of doing that, recognizing two things. One is some of those young people will want to do some activities and not others, particularly in those small teams. Secondly, sometimes our young people need a break from each other. So while they'll be working in small teams, it may not be the same small team in all instances. But we're working our way through that, and there'll be more detail of that next year.
Yes. Is there a concept of a duty patrol? Are they?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, because that's one of the key things that we're trying, so we can promote it. We're trying to tell our scouts sort of roughly how the program's going to work, and that there will be duty patrol, and they'll be responsible for the catering for a particular day.
Yep. No, that's certainly part of this, but that also goes to the heart of the youth program. This is about working together in small teams supported by Kaiorahi. And so that's a central concept for this.
Thank you.
Thanks, Darren. So we've probably got a minute or two for any other urgent questions. Hopefully you've all got an idea of who you can go to for further support. Like I see Churchwood's got a good question there. Will there still be a market day, Guy?
I think people need to see this as somewhat shorter than previous efforts. So probably not, but we're still working through the final details of the program. Don't bet on it would be my core piece of advice.
Right.
I think Lawrence might have a question, Dominic.
Excellent. So that's a good opportunity to swing back to Lawrence for the last word. As Jamboree Director, and
thank you. I just wanted to say thank you very much for everyone that's been on this call. I know that that we say scouting is only 2 hours a week, but it's slightly a bit longer than that. But no, thank you. I do appreciate your time, and the team have put this together. So awesome effort. So thank you to everybody.
Great, thanks, Lawrence. Jack posted in the chat, there's been some questions about containers. So look, the plan with the containers hasn't been completely finalised. There are some changes in the way that will operate. If you intend to take a container, then we recommend that you just make contact with Nathan and with the Jamboree team. And as the site gets developed, some solutions can be found to any challenges you might have there. So we have options available, but we have been asked to not have containers parked in the Jamboree sites for this Jamboree, which is a little bit of a shift for some groups. Point Chev.
Hi, just a quick question. I did put the note in the chat, but I just wanted to understand, because we're in this week catching up with some of our cubs and our scouts. So I just wanted to be really clear, I guess, just on the framework around the 11 to 14-year-olds. And I know you've said really clearly that 11 to 14 it is, and that's how how the activities are ran, which I totally get. I guess, but my question was with the new Scout framework and giving the kids a chance to grow at their pace. We know some kids are going up earlier, some are staying back, and because some are more advanced emotionally than others. If the child gets their Scout bronze and camps 5 nights, and will almost be 11, is it still the group leader's decision? Do we need zone? Do we need extra support from you? How does that go?
Can I address that?
Yeah,
please.
thanks.
We need to find the transition policy so that everyone can see it. The bottom line here, to pick up the point, is exactly the one that's just been made, which is if a young person is able and mature enough to be able to go to a 7-day event, which is pretty high pressure, and they've transitioned from either Cubs to Scouts or they've stayed in Scouts for a variety of other reasons. That's a choice between that young person, their parent or caregiver, their Scout leader in this case, and arguably the group leader and others. That's not a matter that the Jamboree leadership team can make a decision on. So there's no hard and fast rule about 11 to 14. That's the decision has to be made in the sort of way we've just described, and that's what the transition policy talks about. The real issue is about whether or not the young person is sufficiently equipped to be able to get the best out of this experience. That's where our focus should be, and that's what the transition's about. And I don't think this is about age necessarily. This is about stage and maturity and those kind of things. Does that help?
That's perfect. I guess the next bit, my question would be, is understanding what scouting feels 11 to a 14-year-old activity is, and that emotional bit. So I'm guessing in one of the resources that obviously there's previous jamborees we could look at. So if we looked at those jamboree previous ones and go, that's a level of expectation of 11 to 14 from an activity point of view, and then we feel that they can do it, then I guess that's just our next conversation. But no, that was really helpful. Thank you, Guy.
Can I just pick up there though? I mean,
Sure.
this isn't largely about the activities. This is about a group of young people working in the same small team for 7 days. And if you've got niggles between some of those young people, for example, when you go camping on a weekend, that might give you some clue about whether or not they're going to cope in that sort of environment over the 7 or 8 days that the Jamboree will be on. So it's more about the environment and the taking a bit of responsibility for cooking and looking after themselves and so on and so forth in a supervised way with that 50-50 partnership, of course, but certainly taking more of that responsibility. So that I think is probably a bigger issue, and scout leaders and others are much better able to make that call than anyone centrally.
Perfect. Thank you, Guy.
Thank you, Guy. That's awesome. I said there were a couple of questions backwards and forwards on the container. And Nathan, thanks for picking up the answers there. And there'll be more information that comes out, but please work with Nathan on that, on the specifics for your troop requirements. All right. So look, if everybody's happy, I want to thank everybody for coming along. We really hope that this has provided you with some useful information, caught you up on some areas that you might not have been aware of. Obviously, we're not going to be in a position for this Jamboree to do the traditional tour around the country and meet you all. And we're looking to see if this can fill that gap. If there is requirements for more information, please feed it back to us. We all see your emails and try to get to those in a timely manner. Any last word from anybody on the leadership team?
I just want to echo Lawrence's thanks to everybody for being on a call like this. I mean, it's just amazing to think that we've got we've had more than 80 people on this call. It's just really great to see the level of enthusiasm for Jamboree and the support. But my plea around all of that from the adventure and program side of things is, again, if you've got people who you think could help out, I'd really love to hear from them.
Great. Thanks, Guy. And we'll start promoting that through the troops very soon. All right. So on that, we're going to let everybody just finish for the day. Have a happy Christmas.
Thank you, all.
Thank you. That was really good, guys. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Have an awesome Christmas.
Thanks.